Hey, I'm Andrew, and welcome to Diligent Dad. It's my mission of the channel to support you in your early steps of fatherhood. If you hit subscribe and the bell icon, you'll be notified when I'm dropping new videos twice a week. It might sound like a bit of a silly question, but why would you want to take paternity leave? That's a really important one because you may be faced with the choice of whether to take no paternity leave at all, just the 1 week, or maybe even 2, or maybe even more. And you might be faced with the choice of, well, how much should I take? Therefore, I want to tell you one thing that's really important first of all. If you haven't realised already, having a new baby or having a second baby, if you've already got kids in the house, is a massive, massive deal. It's a massive upheaval for you, for mum, and for anyone else that's living in the house. So the more hands that are on deck in support of what's going on in that house, in support of what's going on at home, the better, okay, in those early days. So from a workload management perspective, if you were to disappear back off to work after maybe only the next day, as unlikely as that sounds, it does happen, or after, if you have a choice and you can afford to take longer than just the 1 week, or maybe even afford to take longer than the 2, I really, really want to encourage you to consider doing that. Not only from a workload perspective, but also just that when the baby is super young, really, really young, the bonding that happens between dad and that new baby is absolutely fundamental to that child's health, well-being, and happiness for years afterwards. So the more closely that dad can bond with the new baby at home in the earliest of days, okay, just spending time together, physical and emotional contact. It might not feel to dad like there is much contact happening there, but trust me, the bonding that can happen is enormously beneficial to your little son or daughter. And therefore to you in the years down the line. There have been studies done in the US which have proven that a child's academic performance can be linked back, the bonding and that took place in the child's early days, and just the presence that dad had around home in those first few weeks. So I'd really, really encourage you from that perspective, not only from a workload perspective, but also from just the opportunity to bond with your new son or daughter and start to build in them the self-esteem which will carry them through their early life and into adulthood. From both those perspectives, I encourage you to do whatever you can to take as much paternity leave in order that you're as present at home with new baby and with the rest of the family as possible in your early days. In addition to that long-being well-being of your new son or daughter, the more time you spend at home in those early days, the more confidence you'll have in the child's routine and what the child's needs are around the home, in order that when you are home at weekends and in the evenings, you are able to support. You're not having to ask mum at every single turn, what do I do next? What is the baby like? You'll get to know your baby. And listen, at that stage, your baby develops so quickly. If you blink and look away for a second, you'll miss significant change and you'll never get that back. With my first son, I took 3 weeks off for paternity leave. So I took my allowance of 2 weeks and I took an additional week. On my first day back at work, I finished that day, disappeared off out of the house for 11, 12 hours, whatever it is, including the commute. And I actually calculated that in that one day at work, I'd missed 3% of my son's life, which just struck me as being what an enormous percentage of my son's life to have missed for a day of work, okay? And in those early days, you will be going to work and you'll come back and honestly, you would genuinely observe changes in your child. You'll just notice something, they'll say something different, or they'll have a different look about them, and you'll have missed that tiny bit of development that they've gone through. And look, we have to go to work. We have to earn money to support our families. But what I'm encouraging you to think about is just whatever you can do to afford to stay at home for as long as possible will not be time wasted. If I've helped you today at all, please hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified when I'm dropping new videos every week.